The minute you let him think you'll always be there, he stops seeing you. That's it. That's the harsh truth. He stopped seeing you, not because you weren't enough, but because he never thought he'd lose you. He got comfortable. He got lazy. He sat back and watched you give, and give, without ever having to work for it. And why would he? You made it easy. You gave him your heart, your time, your energy, your loyalty, without asking for anything in return. You were his emotional home, his safe space, his biggest supporter. And what did he give you? A half-assed love, excuses, hot and cold energy, just enough attention to keep you hooked, but never enough to make you feel truly chosen. But that changes today. Because today, you learn how to make him feel the cost of taking you for granted. Today, you stop playing the role of the overgiving, ever-patient, endlessly forgiving woman, and start acting like the rare, irreplaceable queen you were meant to be. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay right here, because what's coming next will change the way you handle men forever. Listen to me, and listen good. If a man doesn't feel the loss, he doesn't learn the lesson. And right now, he thinks you'll always be there. He thinks that no matter what he does, you'll be waiting. That you'll answer when he calls. You'll forgive when he apologizes. You'll stay no matter how many times he disrespects you. But what happens when you stop? What happens when you disappear? When you go silent? When he wakes up one morning and realizes your energy is no longer his to drain? That's when he feels it. That's when the regret creeps in. That's when he finally understands the cost of losing you. You're not about to teach him with words. You're about to teach him with absence, silence, and success. Because let me tell you something about men. They don't appreciate what's handed to them. They appreciate what they have to work for. Look at their careers, their hobbies, their friendships. They put in effort where they feel it's necessary. If he didn't put in effort for you, it's because he never felt like he had to. And that's where you went wrong. You overcompensated for his lack of effort. You texted first. You forgave first. You chased. You reminded him of your worth, hoping he would see it. But that's not how it works. No man has ever woken up one day and suddenly valued a woman he spent years taking for granted. He only values her when he feels the emptiness of her absence. So, what's next? Next, we break it all down, step by step. You're going to learn exactly how to make him regret every time he ignored you, every time he made you feel small, every time he treated you like an option. And by the time we're done, you won't even care about his regret. Drop a comment below. I will never be taken for granted again. Say it. Claim it. Show him, show the universe, and most importantly, show yourself. Because what's coming next, it's going to make sure you never settle for less again. Number 1, stop being the woman who tries too hard. So, my dear, let's talk about the lie they sold you. The lie that told you love is sacrifice. That if you just try hard enough, if you just give more, if you just prove yourself, he will finally wake up and love you the way you deserve. But what has trying harder ever gotten you? Did he stay because you sacrificed yourself for him? Did he cherish you because you forgave him one more time? Did he suddenly value you because you made excuses for his bare minimum effort? No, because here's the truth society never wanted you to know. The harder you try, the less he values you. That's not just men. That's human nature. We don't appreciate what's handed to us. We appreciate what we have to work for. But you made it too easy. You gave him the loyalty of a wife when he wasn't even giving you the effort of a boyfriend. You showed up like a queen for a man who couldn't even meet you like a king. And now you're sitting here confused, broken, wondering why he didn't see your worth. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you truly valued something that required no effort to keep? Imagine a job that pays you a great salary, but you keep working overtime for free. Do you think they'll ever start paying you more just because you're working harder? Do you think they'll suddenly respect you for doing more than what was required? No! They'll just keep expecting more for nothing. And that's exactly what happened here. You kept proving yourself while he sat back and took it all in. You kept fixing the relationship while he barely lifted a finger. You kept showing up again and again because you thought that was what love was. But real love doesn't feel like exhaustion. Real love doesn't feel like proving yourself. Real love doesn't require you to break yourself just to be seen. But that's what society has programmed into you, hasn't it? That being a good woman means you have to fight for love. That your ability to endure, to sacrifice, to tolerate bullshit somehow makes you worthy. But let me tell you something. Self-sacrifice is not a love language. And the more you keep applying for a position he has no intention of filling, the more you will keep breaking your own heart. Because he already showed you who he is, and yet you kept hoping that maybe this time he'll change, hoping that if you just love him harder, he'll finally wake up. But that's not love. That's addiction. You got addicted to the chase, addicted to the idea that if you just did one more thing, one more sacrifice, one more chance, he'd finally realize how good he had it. But tell me, my dear, what about you? What about the woman who gives and gives until there's nothing left? What about the woman who carries the weight of the relationship on her back while he just coasts? What about the woman who has forgotten what it feels like to be pursued, to be chosen, to be truly adored? Because right now, that woman is drowning. She's exhausted. She's losing herself. She's sitting in the dark, wondering why she was never enough. But let me tell you something. You were always enough. But you were trying to be enough for a man who was never capable of seeing it. And that's not your burden to carry anymore. So what do you do now? Now you rise. Now you stop over-explaining, over-giving, over-compensating for a man who never once asked himself, am I good enough for her? Now you stop auditioning for a role he was never going to give you. You stop convincing someone to choose you when the right man would never need convincing. You let go of this false narrative that love is struggle, that love is proving, that love is pain, and you start stepping into the version of yourself who is done being an option. You step into the version of yourself who never has to beg to be chosen. You step into the version of yourself who is too damn valuable to waste another second on someone who couldn't even appreciate her presence. So, say it with me. I will no longer prove my worth to anyone who cannot see it. Drop it in the comments, say it out loud. Because what's coming next, it's going to teach you how to never be in this position again. Number 2, silence is the only language he understands. So, my dear, let me tell you something that will change the way you handle men forever. Silence is the only language they truly understand. I know you want to talk. I know you want to explain, to pour out your heart, to make him see the pain he's caused. But he won't get it. Not through your words, not through your tears, not through your perfectly crafted messages at 2 a.m. Because men Men don't process emotions the way women do. They don't sit there and analyze every detail. They don't feel the loss in the moment. They feel it in the silence. They feel it in the absence. You ever notice how, the second you pull away, suddenly he starts showing interest again? Suddenly he's checking in, liking your posts, throwing breadcrumbs just to see if you'll take the bait? That's not because he loves you. That's not because he had some grand epiphany about your worth. That's because he's feeling the void you left behind, and his ego doesn't like it. And that's the power of silence. You don't beg, you don't explain, you don't try to make him see what he's losing. You disappear and let him wake up in the wreckage. You don't warn a man about the storm. You become the storm. You leave behind the empty space where your presence used to be, and you let him sit in it. Let him feel the discomfort. Let him wonder why you're not chasing. Let him experience the loss without the comfort of your reassurance. Because the second you stop being predictable, the second you stop responding, the second you become a mystery instead of a constant, he starts to panic. He might not show it right away. He might try to play it cool, might even act like he's unbothered. But trust me, he's feeling it. And here's why. Men crave certainty. They want to know that they can have you whenever they decide they're ready. They want to believe that no matter how much time passes, you'll still be there, waiting, hoping, forgiving. And when that certainty disappears, it wrecks them. Let me tell you a story I read on a forum. A woman had spent years in an on and off relationship with a man who never fully committed to her. Every time he pulled away, she chased. Every time he disrespected her, she forgave. Every time he disappeared, she waited. Until one day, she didn't. One day, she went silent. No warning, no dramatic goodbye, no desperate last message. She just stopped. Weeks passed. Months passed. He assumed she'd come back like she always did, but she didn't. And for the first time, he felt what it meant to lose her. Suddenly, he was the one checking her last scene. He was the one wondering if she had moved on. He was the one replaying memories in his head, trying to figure out when he lost control of the situation. And by the time he reached out, she was already too far gone. She had built herself into someone who didn't need his validation anymore. She had become a woman whose absence spoke louder than any words ever could. That's what silence does. It doesn't just make him miss you, it makes him question everything. Because let's be real, he expected you to chase. He expected you to break first. He expected you to come running back the moment he gave you an inch of attention. And when you don't, it forces him to sit with himself, to realize that maybe, just maybe, he messed up. But here's the most important part. You don't stay silent just to make him miss you. You stay silent because you're done giving energy to someone who didn't appreciate it. This isn't a game. This isn't some manipulation tactic. This is about self-respect. Because a man who truly values you won't need to feel your loss to appreciate you. He will cherish you while he still has you. And if he only starts to realize your worth after you've walked away, then he never really deserved you to begin with. So, what do you do now? You stop explaining yourself. You stop proving yourself. You stop wasting your words on someone who wasn't listening in the first place. You let your absence do the talking. You become so quiet, so removed, so unbothered, that the only thing left for him to do is wonder. And while he's busy questioning what went wrong, you're out there living, thriving, rebuilding yourself into a woman who doesn't just survive heartbreak, she rises from it. So say it with me. My silence is my power. Drop it in the comments. Write it down. Speak it into existence. Because what's coming next, it's going to make sure you never have to silence yourself for the wrong man again. Number 3, level up without announcing it. So, my dear, let's get one thing straight. Men don't regret losing the woman who cries over them. They don't regret the woman who sends long texts, who pleads for closure, who sits in bed replaying every moment, every word, every mistake. No, men regret the woman who rises without them. The woman who doesn't fall apart, but reinvents herself. The woman who doesn't wait for him to come back, but walks away like he never even mattered. The woman who becomes so powerful, so magnetic, so untouchable, that by the time he realizes what he lost, she's already out of reach. And that, my love, is exactly who you are about to become. You don't level up for him. You level up for you. But the irony? Nothing will haunt him more. You want him to feel it? Get in the gym. Get your money up. Change your look. Change your life. Because right now, he thinks he broke you. He thinks you're at home, drowning in tears, waiting for him to wake up and realize your worth. He thinks he's still the center of your world. So, prove him wrong. Make your transformation so undeniable, so shocking, so unrecognizable that when he hears your name, when he sees a glimpse of you, he can't believe the woman in front of him is the same one he walked away from. Be the comeback story he never saw coming. But listen carefully. This glow-up is not about revenge. It's not about making him jealous. It's not about trying to win him back. It's about reclaiming your life. Because somewhere in that relationship, you lost yourself. You stopped taking care of yourself the way you used to. You gave all your energy to him and left nothing for you. You sacrificed your time, your goals, your happiness, just to keep him. And now you take all that energy back. You become the woman you were always meant to be before he distracted you. This is the moment you wake up, look in the mirror, and decide you will never let another person make you forget your own power. Start with your body. Train like you are sculpting a new version of yourself. Feel the strength return to you with every weight you lift, every step you run, every drop of sweat that reminds you you are stronger than the pain. Fix your mind, read books, learn new skills, expand yourself. Become so deeply invested in your growth that by the time he comes back around, he realizes you are no longer the same woman he left. Build your empire. Get your money up. Stack your wealth. Create new opportunities. Start a business. Chase your dreams. Nothing makes a man regret losing you more than watching you become completely self-sufficient. And when you post your glow up, do it with quiet confidence, never in a way that screams, "Look at me." Do it in a way that says, "I don't even think about you anymore." Because the truth is, the moment he realizes you're not seeking his attention, that's when he starts paying attention. He will watch you. He will wonder. He will feel the shift in energy. He will start asking himself, why isn't she broken? Why isn't she chasing? Why does she seem happier? And that's when he will feel it. Because men are not emotional like women. They don't feel the pain of losing someone immediately. They feel it in hindsight. At first, they enjoy the freedom. They distract themselves with other women, with parties, with games. But as time passes, as the nights get quieter, as his new distractions fade, he starts to remember you. And when he does, he doesn't just remember the past. He sees what he lost in the present. And that, my love, will haunt him. But by then, you won't even care. Because this glow-up, it's not for him. It's not for revenge. It's for you. For the woman who forgot what it felt like to wake up excited about her own life. For the woman who once settled for the bare minimum, but now demands the absolute best. For the woman who walks with confidence, moves with purpose, and radiates a presence so powerful that no man, no ex, no past relationship can ever break her again. So if you're ready to step into your power, to leave him in the past where he belongs, to become a woman so elevated that he could never reach you again, then do it. And let the world hear you. Drop a comment below. I am becoming untouchable. Say it, mean it, live it. Because what's coming next? It's going to make sure you never, ever shrink yourself for a man again. Number 4, stop responding to weak attempts. So, my dear, you've finally pulled away. You've stopped chasing, stopped begging, stopped trying to prove your worth to someone who never deserved your presence in the first place. And just when you start feeling lighter, just when the weight of his indifference begins to lift from your shoulders, he reappears. A random, "Hey, how have you been?" A half-assed, "thinking about you." Maybe even a drunken 2 a.m. text that says absolutely nothing, but somehow still shakes you. Don't fall for it. He's not reaching out because he suddenly realized your worth. He's not texting because he's overwhelmed with love and regret. He's doing it because his ego just got hit with the reality of your absence. Because that's how men work. They don't feel the loss immediately. They feel it when their access to you is cut off. He doesn't miss you. He misses the control. He misses knowing you were always there, waiting, responding, forgiving. He misses the security of your attention, the comfort of your presence, the validation of knowing he could still reach you whenever he wanted. And now he's panicking. Because for the first time, his old tactics aren't working. This isn't love knocking at your door. This is an ego check. This is him dipping his toes in the water, seeing if you'll still jump, if you'll still respond, if you'll still give him even an ounce of your energy. And you don't give him a damn thing. You don't respond. Not with words, not with emojis, not with silence that waits for him to send another message. Just silence. Absolute, deafening, soul-crushing silence. Because your absence is the only thing that will ever make him feel what he made you feel. You see, a man's mind is wired differently. He doesn't process emotions in the moment the way you do. Men don't experience regret in real time. They experience it in hindsight. At first, when you go silent, he won't feel it immediately. He'll shrug it off. He'll tell himself, "She's just mad. She'll answer eventually." But then the hours pass. Then the days pass. Then a week goes by, and you still haven't responded. That's when the doubt creeps in. That's when he starts spiraling. That's when he stares at his phone, wondering, did I lose her for real? That's when he starts regretting. Because suddenly, you're a mystery again. And nothing haunts a man more than the woman he thought he could always come back to, finally being out of reach. But here's the catch. If you break now, if you respond, if you give him the reaction he's looking for, you lose all the power you just reclaimed. Because the second he sees that you're still available, that you're still waiting, that you still care enough to reply, he'll relax again. He'll pull back because, oh, she's still there. I don't have to worry. And just like that, he wins. So, don't you dare break. Don't you dare let his weak attempt at validation trick you into thinking he's changed. Because if he really cared, If he really missed you, he wouldn't be sending you a lazy one-liner to see if you'll still play the game. He would show up. He would call. He would stand in front of you and prove, through actions, not words, that he's not the same man who took you for granted, but a weak, meaningless text. That is not a man who is ready to be better. That is a man who is afraid of losing the comfort of you. And guess what? That's not your problem anymore. Let him sit in the silence. Let him wrestle with his own thoughts. Let him finally feel what it's like to wonder where he stands with you. Because you spent months, maybe even years, wondering where you stood with him. This is your power now. This is your moment to finally make him feel the weight of his own actions. And if you're ready to step into that power, then let him hear your silence. Comment below. I am done responding to weak attempts. Because what's coming next? It's going to teach you how to become the woman he will regret losing for the rest of his life. Number 5. Make him question everything he knew about you. He thought he had you figured out. He thought he could predict your every move, your every reaction, your every emotion. He thought he knew exactly how you'd respond to his distance, his coldness, his half-assed love. And why wouldn't he? You trained him to believe it. Every time he pulled away, you pulled in closer. Every time he ignored you, you tried harder. Every time he made you feel like you weren't enough, you overcompensated just to prove that you were. But that version of you, she's dead. Because nothing shakes a man more than realizing the woman he once took for granted is no longer the same woman he left behind. That's how you make him question everything he knew about you. He thought he could break you, but instead, you rebuilt yourself into a woman he no longer recognizes. He thought you'd always be there, but now, you've vanished from the script he thought he controlled. You want to make him suffer, become the plot twist in a story he thought he already finished. You see, men are comfortable with patterns. They expect predictability. They get used to routines. They assume that once they've seen all sides of you, there's nothing left to discover. And that's when they stop valuing you. Because in his mind, you were always available, always forgiving, always waiting. There was no urgency, no fear of losing you, no need to hold on tighter, because why hold on to something that never leaves? So now, you rewrite the script. You change your patterns. You change your energy. You change how you respond to life. You stop being the woman who breaks herself trying to be enough. You stop being the woman who drowns in pain, hoping he'll notice. You stop being the woman he thought he knew. Instead, you become the woman he never saw coming. I once read about a woman who spent years trying to make her boyfriend love her the way she loved him. She gave him everything, her heart, her loyalty, her patience, until one day she finally had enough. She stopped calling, stopped texting, stopped explaining. She didn't post sad quotes or play games to get his attention. She disappeared. And you know what happened? He noticed, he panicked, he came back, desperate to know where she went. But by then, she had already outgrown him. She became a new version of herself, one he no longer had access to. That's what real power looks like. Not begging, not proving, but evolving so much that he no longer fits into your world. Because let's be real, he expected you to stay the same. He expected you to sit in the dark, crying over him, waiting for his attention, hoping he'd come back. He expected to be able to waltz back into your life whenever it suited him. But now he's lost that privilege. Now he has to sit with the emptiness he created. Now he has to question everything he assumed about you. Now he has to wonder, what changed? Who is she now? Is she seeing someone else? Did she finally realize she was too good for me? And that uncertainty, it will eat him alive. Because men don't regret losing a woman when she's crying over them. They regret it when they see her glowing without them, when they see her rising, thriving, becoming someone they can't reach anymore. So, change your patterns, change your life, change into the woman who no longer tolerates being taken for granted. And let him watch from the sidelines, regretting every moment he didn't cherish you. Say it with me. I am the plot twist. Drop it in the comments. Let the world hear you. Because what's coming next, it will make sure you never get taken for granted again. Number 6, never let him think you're waiting. Let me tell you something about men. They don't truly fear losing you. Not at first. Not when they think they can still have you whenever they want. Not when they believe that no matter how far they stray, you'll be right there, waiting like a fool in love, ready to take them back. That's the real reason he isn't changing. He doesn't feel urgency. He doesn't feel the loss. He doesn't believe, even for a second, that you will ever truly be gone. So why would he change? Why would he put in effort when he thinks you're still checking your phone, still hoping, still emotionally tied to him? A man only feels the regret when he knows, without a doubt, that he has lost access to you, that the door has closed, that you are no longer waiting. That's when the fear creeps in. That's when he starts thinking about what he took for granted. But right now, he feels safe. He's not panicking. He's not sitting up at night wondering where you are. He's not feeling the weight of your absence. Because in his mind, you're still his. Maybe not physically, maybe not officially, but emotionally. He still believes he owns a piece of you. And as long as he thinks that, he will never truly fear losing you. You don't pause your life for someone who put you on hold. You don't sit in a waiting room for a man who left the building. You don't leave a seat open for someone who chose to walk away. You get up, you move forward, you make damn sure that he feels the shift. Because let me tell you something, nothing haunts a man more than the thought that you have moved on, that you are smiling at another man's jokes, letting another man take you out, giving another man the energy you once wasted on him. That is what shakes him. That is what makes him realize that you were not an option. You were the prize. And no, I'm not telling you to move on just to make him jealous. This isn't about games. This isn't about manipulation. This is about you finally reclaiming your own damn life. How long have you been waiting? How long have you been putting yourself on pause, rejecting attention from other men, isolating yourself, stuck in limbo for someone who isn't even checking for you? How long have you been telling yourself, I just need time, when really all you've been doing is keeping yourself in an emotional prison built by your own hope? Let it go. Let him go. Open yourself up to new experiences, new people, new energy. Be seen, be social, be unavailable. Not just physically, emotionally. Stop answering his lazy, I miss you texts. Stop checking his social media like it holds the answers to your future. Stop letting his inconsistency keep you tied to a past that has nothing left to offer you. Because every time you hesitate, every time you wait, every time you make it obvious that you are still emotionally available, you are teaching him that he doesn't have to worry. And a man who isn't worried, a man who doesn't feel urgency, a man who doesn't fear losing you, will never change. But the moment he sees you happy, glowing, thriving without him, that's when it hits. That's when the regret settles in. That's when he realizes that he lost something he can never get back. And by then, you won't even care. Drop a comment. I refuse to wait for anyone who left me behind. Say it. Own it. Live it. Because what's coming next? It will make sure you never wait for another man again. Number 7. Become the standard. He can't meet again. The only real punishment for taking you for granted. Realizing he will never find another you. Not just realizing it, feeling the loss in his bones, feeling the regret settle in every time he sees a woman who reminds him of you, but will never be you. Feeling the emptiness every time he reaches for his phone and stops himself, knowing that you're no longer his to call. But here's the thing, you don't become unforgettable by sitting around, waiting for him to notice. You don't become unforgettable by crying over what could have been, over the man who was too blind to see your worth. You become unforgettable by becoming a woman he can never have access to again. A woman so confident, so self-sufficient, so magnetic, that even if he tried, even if he begged, even if he threw himself at your feet, he would know deep down that he is no longer worthy. Do you know what makes a man regret losing a woman? Not her tears, not her pain, not her begging for closure. What makes a man suffer is seeing her rise without him, seeing her walk away without looking back, seeing her become the kind of woman he always hoped she would stay too broken to become. Right now, he assumes he can replace you. That's the lie he tells himself to sleep at night. That's the delusion he's holding on to, believing that somewhere out there, another woman will love him like you did, fight for him like you did, forgive him like you did. But men don't realize the difference between women who are rare and women who are replaceable until it's too late. He will go searching for another you. He will date around, chase meaningless connections, entertain women who will never love him the way you did. And one day, he will look at the woman sitting across from him and realize she doesn't challenge him the way you did. She doesn't inspire him the way you did. She doesn't carry the same fire, the same presence, the same energy that made you unforgettable. And that's when it hits him. That's when the weight of losing you truly settles in. A woman once shared her story about how she begged and pleaded for a man who never saw her worth. She stayed when she should have left, forgave when she should have walked away, gave when she should have demanded more. And when he finally discarded her, when he moved on like she never mattered, she thought she would never recover. She thought she would spend her life wondering why she wasn't enough. But something shifted. She stopped waiting for him to regret it. She stopped living for the hope that he would come back. She turned all of that pain into power. She hit the gym. She started the business she had put on hold for him. She traveled. She glowed up in every possible way, physically, emotionally, mentally. And then he came back. Of course he did. They always do. But by the time he did, she was so far gone, so deep into her new life, so completely in love with herself, that his regret meant nothing to her. And that's what you need to understand. You are not here to be his lesson. You are here to be your own revolution. The version of you he lost was only a fraction of the woman you are becoming. The best part? By the time he realizes it, by the time he wakes up and starts looking for you in every other woman, By the time he finally understands what he lost, you will be too busy thriving to even care. So, repeat after me. I am the standard. Drop it in the comments. Say it out loud. Say it until it burns into your soul. Because what's coming next, it's the final step to making sure you never, ever let a man think he can walk away from you without consequence again. Number 8, never, ever go back, even if he begs. If a man has to lose you to see your value, then he never truly valued you to begin with. Read that again. Let it sink in. Because one day, maybe weeks from now, maybe months, maybe even years, he's going to come back. They always do. The minute he realizes that the comfort of having you is gone, the minute he sees you thriving without him, the minute he feels your absence like a ghost that won't leave him alone, he will try. He will send that "I miss you" text. He will pop up in your DMs like nothing happened. He will say all the right things, promise you the world, tell you he's changed. And for a split second, you'll feel that familiar ache in your chest. The part of you that wants to believe him, that wants to believe love can win, that wants to believe he finally understands what he had. But don't you dare fall for it. Because he's not coming back because he loves you. He's coming back because he hates losing. This isn't love, it's damage control. He doesn't miss you. He misses the security of knowing you were always there. He doesn't regret what he did. He regrets that he can no longer get away with it. He doesn't want to be a better man. He just wants to pull you back in before you fully realize that you were always too good for him. Think about it. If he truly valued you, why did he have to lose you to see it? Why did he wait until you were gone to start putting in effort? Why did he spend months ignoring you, neglecting you, making you feel small, only to suddenly wake up once he saw that you had finally moved on? It's not love, it's control. Because when a man knows he has lost access to you, it shakes his ego. It forces him to confront a reality he never prepared for, that you were not as replaceable as he thought, that no matter how many new women he entertains, none of them will feel like you, that he thought he could always come back, but this time the door is locked. And that terrifies him. But what should terrify you is this. If you take him back, he will repeat the cycle. If you let him back in, he will assume your standards were fake. If you forgive him too easily, he will never respect you the same way again, because in his mind, you just confirmed what he always suspected, that no matter how badly he treats you, you'll never really leave. So let me ask you something. Are you a lesson or are you a revolving door? Because a lesson leaves a mark. A lesson forces him to change. A lesson haunts him every time he looks at another woman and realizes that no one will ever match what he lost. But a revolving door lets him come and go as he pleases. A revolving door lets him disrespect you, take you for granted, walk away when it's convenient, because he knows he can always come back when he's bored. You are not a revolving door. You are not a second chance for a man who never deserved the first one. And I know it's hard. I know the memories creep in at night. I know part of you still wonders, what if? I know you wish things had been different, that he had been different, that the love you gave had been enough to change him. But the truth? You were enough. You were always enough. He just wasn't capable of loving you the way you deserved. So don't go back, not for closure, not for one last conversation, not for curiosity, Not because you're lonely, not because you miss the idea of what you thought he could be. Because if you walk away for good, he will spend years wondering what he lost. He will think about you when he's lying next to a woman he doesn't respect. He will think about you when he sees your glow-up and realizes he was nothing but dead weight. He will think about you when he's older, looking back on his life, wishing he had been a better man when he had the chance. That's the cost of losing a woman like you. And by the time he feels it, you will be so far gone that his regret won't even matter. Say it with me. I do not go back. I do not entertain disrespect. I do not repeat lessons. Drop it in the comments. Say it out loud. Because what's coming next? It's going to make sure you never let another man take you for granted again. If this woke you up, let me hear you. Drop a comment. I will never be taken for granted again. Say it to yourself. Say it to the universe. Say it until you believe it. Like this video, subscribe, and share this with a queen who needs to hear it. Because this isn't just about making him suffer. This is about making sure you never end up in this position again. Because the moment you start walking in your worth, you become the kind of woman no man can afford to lose. And trust me, they will feel it.